Can,
Don Norris, District 8.
is there anyone in the room with you, Dot, over 18? No, excellent, thank you. Okay, so we have 5 commissioners here, which means that we are good to go for our meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody in the room and those that are online. We're going to move through today's agenda. Let's see if I can. We'll go ahead and start with item 2, approval of the May 28th minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, there was testimony provided within our packet. And has anybody had a chance to review the testimony from Sharday Freitas regarding the change of minutes? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the modification for the change of minutes to the May 28th minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Excellent. Do we have any discussion? Okay. For those, let's go to vote. Those in favor of approving the minutes for May 28th with the modifications of Sharday Freitas?
Could I have a comment real quick? I thought I saw Sade online on this meeting. Is that correct?
She is in the room. Yes.
Can we ask her if all of her concerns were addressed?
The testimony has already been submitted as stands, so we're just going to review the testimony, but it isn't emailed directly from.
Okay. I would like to abstain from voting on the minutes until I.
Do you want to, let's go ahead and get to the vote then prior. Is there a chance that you can review the testimony? I think that she wants to hear from Sharday to see if it's accurate.
I reviewed it before and I did not have a problem with the minutes that seemed to address some of our concerns, but I don't know if she feels comfortable with that. We could always add it into the minutes. Is that correct?
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to adjust the minutes to include her request, and the request came directly from her. And that is what is included in the minute is in this packet as testimony. Is there any more discussion or questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and take it to vote. For those in favor of approving the change of minutes for the May 28th, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, so it's unanimous, and we'll go ahead and make that modification as it was approved. So we'll go ahead and go to item number 3, public statements on the items on the agenda. Is there any public testimony that would like to be provided at this time regarding any of the items on the agenda? You can also provide testimony at that time of the agenda item if you would like to go ahead and wait.
This is Corey Hubbard, and I have some testimony for now, if possible.
Excellent. Okay. And which agenda item would you like to be testifying upon?
Number 4-2, Malama 1.
Okay. And we will have 3 minutes for testifying for everybody just to be able to manage time. Thank you so much. You can go ahead and start now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good morning, commissioners, and thank you for your volunteer service. Speaking about Malama 1, I wonder if our landfill needs 17 million more pounds of waste every year especially when it's sludge from plastic waste. And that's what Malama One would have left over every year after recycling all the plastic that's suitable for recycling. Malama One wants to bring in millions of pounds of plastic waste from the rest of the state to Hawaii Island, but this waste will not be harmless. It may contain plastic additives and PVC labels, plus contamination from whatever was inside containers, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, viruses, and more. I wonder how all this will be kept out of the finished products. It's unclear if the landfill can legally accept Malama One's plastic waste sludge, but if the sludge is landfilled, all the hazardous substances it contains, plus micro and nano plastic particles, will end up in the leachate, which would go to the Kealakekee wastewater plant, which is struggling to get an NPDES permit, and contaminated leachate is not going to help them get this permit. And what about the plastic particles at the Malama One plant that inevitably become airborne, micro and nano size? How will they be kept from contaminating the plant site and drifting to sites nearby? Many people are working hard to reuse plastic as much as possible with refillable bottles for water, food products, and liquid soap, so forth, and also reusable foodware for takeout restaurants is off to a promising start here. But will Malama One lead to people tossing plastic in a recycle bin before reusing it to the max? The negatives are many, the positives are few, and I don't think we want to go from being the orchid aisle to becoming the plastic aisle. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there any other public testimony at this time?
Madam Chair, my name is Chuck Flaherty, representing the Sierra Club Hawaii Island Group. I have testimony on agenda item 5A1.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you. Aloha, Madam Chair, and members of the commission. The Hawaii Island Group has been involved in the wastewater issue and the lack of infrastructure for quite some time. We're extremely concerned about the budgetary process that occurred recently, and the late written testimony that we apologize was submitted late. I hope that you will review. In general, I'll just quote a couple of paragraphs to save time. The lack of transparency and communication for timely and thorough discussion prior to decision making regarding the budget also undermines the public trust in the county as a whole. The lack of information provided with the budget leaves the Environmental Management Commission and the general public left with more questions than answers, such as, but not limited to, the various funding sources considered, how priority projects were identified, or the broader funding strategy to complete pressing matters of environmental protection, public health, and environmental justice. For something as important as the Department of Environmental Management's budget, which involves taxpayer dollars as well as potential future increased sewer fees, much greater transparency and opportunities for comment is clearly warranted. There are various means by including public testimony and community involvement at the Environmental Management Commission meetings, where expert community input and advice is often provided. It is unclear how the input provided is integrated into the relevant project, work, or written report. These are the following actions that we recommend. We urge the EMC to work in collaboration with the DEM to develop a process that would allow for prior discussion and input before agendized item is approved by the council before the due date or otherwise considered final. Also urge the DEM to provide regular updates on its community engagement and involvement in decision making. And finally, urge the DEM and the county administration to work with members of the community who have prior expertise and knowledge to assist in funding the optimal solutions. Thank you for this opportunity to testify, and thank you for your volunteer service.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there any other testimonies at this time, either in the room or online? You can come to the front, ma'am, if you would like. You can speak by pressing the button. It's right on the silver part of that box in front of you, and then folks can hear you. There you go.
Good morning, Chair and Commission. My name is Claude. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you please state the agenda item that you're providing testimony for?
Okay. There's three, uh, new business 1 and 2. And then I wanted to make comments concerning you're going to decide what's on the agenda. So that's an agenda item. So there's three things. So I'm going to start with the easiest ones. New business 2. I wanted to say that, hold on. It it was brought to my attention yesterday in the environmental notice that Maui has a new project. It's a waste to renewable fuel project, and they'll be uh, processing their bottles along with other waste. And it's being reviewed right now in EA. It's called the, hold on, excuse me. The Maui Aloha Aina project. And it the proposed project will result in another renewable fuel source on Maui, renewable natural gas, which will complement and diversify the renewable energy landscape and will result in the sequestration of carbon and a significant reduction in greenhouse gases. So my point is, with all of these projects, you have to consider that the flow of bottles coming from other islands could be cut off at any time. So that the proposers of that project should just be aware of this new Maui project. My second, so changing gears, I'm hoping that you'll put on your agenda for the next meeting a discussion of Bill 60 in front of the county council. It redefines the land use meeting facilities. And the planning director, did not make it a requirement to have bathrooms. And I believe that it's a disservice and unhealthy and a threat to the surrounding neighborhoods unless there's a provision to require a bathroom and, if available, a sewer hookup. So, moving on, sorry.
Can you restate when you change just what agenda item you're speaking towards when you
Okay, I'm
shift?
changing gears. I'm now speaking on agenda item, new business number 1. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm sorry. My name is Claudia Rohr, and I am a 27-year resident of the Big Island. I have studied marine ecology at the University of the Pacific's Marine Station on Tomales Bay in California. I was elected to serve on the board of POSH in 2005, and I am still an active member of POSH. My focus includes the quality of the marine waters, life in the sediment, and the reefs that the propagation of fish depend on, as well as public access to the shoreline. Today, I'm going to speak on the rapid development of the Nani Paniao subdivision at the southernmost end of Puaco Beach Drive in Lalamilo, South Kohala, as it relates to the issues of establishing a wastewater sewer system for Puaco to protect Puaco reefs from further damage. The planning director has usurped the Leeward Planning Commission's authority under Chapter 205A, and on June 13th, unilaterally approved an exemption determination for new construction of 8 single-family residences on 8 lots utilizing individual wastewater systems, costing $15 million, and a request to consolidate and re-subdivide the existing Nani Paniao subdivision into a new configuration. The director used unlawful rulemaking to make his exemption determination. An unpublished internal policy that development of individual lots are to be exempt from further SMA procedures because they are covered by master permits. By making a wrongful exemption determination, the planning director bypassed normal SMA procedures
You can
to
complete in 30
distribute the
seconds.
application to county and state agencies for comment, and to give public notice and hold public hearings at the Planning Commission that would have elicited comments from the DEM and testimony from Puaco Reefs Community Organization dedicated to saving Puaco's reefs. Planning Director Jeff Darrow has claimed that the new construction and consolidation re-subdivision were purportedly covered by SMA 326. I see you squirming in the background and it's really disturbing. Are you telling me something? I'm sorry,
that-
I'm hard of hearing. I have a hearing disability.
Oh, no problem. We are not telling you anything. We were just watching your time.
I know. So what were you trying to tell me about that?
If you could complete in 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Are you done?
No.
No. Can you complete in 30 seconds?
Okay.
Thank you.
I did submit written testimony. It's not yet in the board packet, but I did provide a copy of SMA 326 in there and my contact information for anyone in the audience who wants to contact me about what we can do about this. On a positive note, an environmental assessment and the archaeological inventory survey and associated mitigation plans for the 50-foot wide extension of Puaco Beach Road was performed as a condition of SMA 326 1991. I received copies of all of them through a UIP request form to planning. Thank you for your time in considering these comments related to the issues of the need to establish a wastewater sewer system for Puaco to protect Puaco reefs from further damage. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
So I am assuming that later you put my late file written testimony in the board packet? How do
I
we-
did not receive it, and so we will look after the meeting, and it should be in the agenda and
Okay, so I
online.
submitted it about 2 o'clock, so they don't give that to you?
No,
Okay, she didn't indicate that. I think maybe she should have informed me. I
I
would have
believe
made.
all testimony should be received no later than 24 hours prior to the meeting
Uh-huh.
to guarantee that we kind of can
Okay,
get
I
our
would-
eyes on it
I
prior
would have
to our.
printed it out and brought it if I had known, just to let you know.
We have very dedicated commissioners, and I have no doubt we'll go back and read your testimony.
Okay, I want to make it publicly available. It took me 2 weeks to get a copy of SMA 326, and it's buried in a 500-page document. So I provided that to you and members of the public.
Thank you very much. Is there any other testimony online or in the room?
Hi, my name's David Hunt.
Hi, if you could please let us know what agenda item you will be testifying on.
Yeah, my name's David Hunt from Honoka'a. I wanted to inquire whether you received my written testimony yesterday on agenda item 2, Malama 1. I sent it in. Actually, your guidelines on the website say prior to 12 noon the day before the meeting. So if you have received it and had an opportunity to look at it, I don't need to read it. I just wanted to confirm that you have it and it will be a part of your record.
If you would like to provide the testimony here, that would be nice. We have not received the testimony within our testimony packet.
Okay. Thanks for checking. I'm deeply concerned about the Malama One project proposal plan and initially, and most importantly right now, the process. If I understand correctly, Malama One has been given a exemption, whether outright or by not recognizing a need to issue permits by the Department of Health. After studying information regarding existing plastic recycling facilities in the US and the issues concerning such facilities, including micro and nanoplastic pollutions of air, surface water, land, groundwater, and landfill, and the disposal of the waste generated from all existing facilities, and the extremely serious threats and impacts to health and the environment.
I'm so sorry. I think that we lost your audio. I don't know if we lost you completely. Did we lose connection, Christy? Okay. Sure. Well, Christy is working and trying to get that gentleman reconnected. Is there any other testimony that we could take either in the room or online? Okay. We will go ahead and start proceeding to the next agenda item, which is new business. And I would really like to welcome Barbara Bell up to the stage. Oh, and Karen Anderson from Puako Community for a presentation on Puako for Reefs and what they are up to. I will
Good
turn it over to you,
morning.
ladies.
Can you hear us? Yes. Thank you for allowing us to be here. We're really pleased. It's taken us a few meetings to make the coordination happen. My name is Barbara Bell. I'm the secretary of the Puako for Reefs nonprofit. This is Karen Anderson. She is our chair. So we're quite the duo. What we'd like to do today is give you a background on our project and some updates because it's a fluid thing. But basically, we're going to try and hit the highlights and leave some time for questions. This is a community-driven project, which is a little unusual for a sewer line. A lot of times, people will say, my cesspool works just great. But we know that isn't the case. So we're working diligently, and our team are all professionals who have the skill sets, various skill sets, and they're all working pretty hard. There's about 15 of us that we pull from on our steering committee, and about 6 of us who are working pretty much daily on some aspect of this project. So we have news, big news, even for the press. In this year's CIP budget at the county, we were able to, working with James Eustace, our council member, have a $1 million CIP appropriation to set up a revolving fund for PUACO to use first for the the engineering, the EAs, getting up to permitting and shovel ready. And then we replace the money because it's a revolving fund as after we've gotten our big funding, and other communities can use it for wastewater projects. So we're really looking at this island-wide. We know that we're kind of ahead of other communities. We know we have a good team. And so we're really pleased that James could help us get that to happen and that we can help other communities. So one thing we would like to ask you today is if you know in your communities, in your areas, if you know any other communities working on wastewater, please put us in touch with them. Tell us to call us, whatever, because we have a lot of lessons to share, and we're pretty sure other people have a lot of things to teach us too. So right now I'd like to pass it over to Karen, and she will give you some more facts.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you for having us. And again, thank you for your volunteerism. As coming from an all-volunteer organization, we all really appreciate it. So there's some of you in the audience that know a lot about the PUACO project, Erica, and some who don't know anything. So I'm going to give a very brief history and then tell you where we're at now. And then we'll turn it back to Barbara, who will tell you what are the steps that we're working on right now. So PUACO Reef stretches 2.5 miles long, almost 3 miles long, in front of PUACO and the main South Kohala resorts. It's one of the most important reefs on our island. And in the last 50 years, it has lost 90% of its coral coverage, going from 70% to 7%. And scientists tell us if it drops below 5%, it's going to be really hard for it to recover itself. We have known about this for a long time. Scientists come every year for the past 25 years to PUACO and have told us, your reef is dying, your reef is dying. Well, 12 years ago, a community member walked out of one of these community meetings and said, how much is it going to cost to solve that problem? And this was an older woman who'd been in PUACO for a long time. And we said, we don't know. And we went back to her and we said, well, it's going to cost $2 million to replace all the cesspools. She said, great. Here's $2 million. Solve it. So that was 12 years ago. And like many of these projects, it starts with a visionary community member. So I want to acknowledge Doris. From that point on, we began working with the Coral Reef Alliance. Erica was our lead connection and did a lot of work educating the community, educating the county, the state, working with scientists and engineers, because 12 years ago, it wasn't as cool to talk about wastewater as it is now. And we've made a lot of progress. And in that time, in 12 years, the community has donated over $3.5 million of its own dollars. We've lobbied for $1.5 million of state funding, and the project is still not done. but we're close. So we're really close. So I want to tell you where we're at now. So in those 12 years, we have all of the science to prove that the problem is there. We've had 4 engineering studies done by 4 different engineering companies who have all said the same thing. Yep, it's a problem. And yes, septic systems, replacing cesspools with septic won't work. In fact, the University of Hawaii did dye tests, putting dye in our toilets, flushing it. And within 2 hours to 2 days, all of it ended up on the reef, whether it was from a cesspool, a septic tank, or a new fancy aerobic system. So the only solution is a sewer line. We have worked with, and then the county did their South Kohala study, and it came to the same conclusion. Yep, a sewer system, low pressure sewer system connecting to the American Water plant in the Mauna Lani makes the most sense. We're too low of elevation to put in a package plant, and we're in a flood zone. So we've been working with American Water for years. They're all ready to take our waste. In fact, we had a meeting yesterday with one of the owners of the Mauna Lani Resort and American Water, and they've agreed to work closely with us to come up with how this will work technically now. So Mauna Lani's on board, American Water is on board. We've been working with 2 low pressure companies, Orenco and E1, both operating in Hawaii currently. They've given us proposals for a collection system. So technically, we know the answer, right? The other good news is the community is on board. A year ago, little year and a half ago, an outside company did a survey of the community. Of the people that responded, which was about 70% of the community, 80% said yes, they're all for it if it's affordable. So we have the community, we have the technology, and for the past 12 years, we've been working with the county and the state. This is our 3rd county administration, and we're now working to get them on board. The past 2 have gotten there and said yes, yes, but we have all these stumbling blocks. The big thing is that this has been a very expensive journey. And so, as Barbara said, I'm on the South Kohala Planning Action Committee, if I got that right. And they put forth to the county the idea of a $1 million revolving fund, which in their capital budget, which will be first used by Puako to finish the planning, because from here to a shovel-ready project is going to cost us another $1 million. So that's in place. We have confirmed a grant for the development, the construction of the project with USDA Rural Development Fund, working with the person here in Hilo. So we have the funding identified. The $1 million we will use to cover our last expenses, as well as the expenses the county is going to have when the bonds are issued to fund our project, and the Puako community will repay that. That money will go back into the revolving fund so communities in your districts can do the same thing. And hopefully, after our 12 years of work, it will take less time and a lot less money. So whereas when Erica and I began working on this 12 years ago, it was all about saving Puako for reef, we're also looking to build a blueprint for Hawaii. So we have hired outside financing people to work on the financial models. We have legal experts hired. We have early environmental and cultural impact study, a survey being done for us right now. So we're almost there. We're so close. So again, what we ask is that we want to hear what communities in your district are doing. We want to present to them. We want to share. We want to all learn together because we need to build this solution together. So that's the update. Now I'm going to pass it back to Barbara to tell you what we're working on in these next through the end of the year. Thank you for your time.
So for some real nitty gritty. So currently we are meeting with Finance Department on a Communities Facilities District formation, which is a somewhat complicated process. There's been one done on this island, which was a developer. So it's quite unusual for communities to try to do that, but it's much more flexible than an improvement district. So we all agree philosophically that that's the format, but getting through all the pieces is, it's quite a checklist. So we're working with finance on that. And we're working with environmental management and Chris Barber on the low pressure systems and if he has a preference, because ultimately with any kind of government financing, the county has to own the collection line. So we obviously, and if they own it, then they would be responsible for operating it. Even though collection line doesn't require much operation, it requires something. So we're working with DEM on that. We're working with County Council. James Eustace has been very helpful because to initiate a CFD, you need a resolution to initiate it. There may be other legislation tweaks in the county code or whatever, because we're charting new ground, basically. And so it's kind of like an octopus. You have to reel it all in. And then the thing that's just come up really recently is we've learned that Kahaluu, we've been told that the county is going to put in a collection line for, I don't even know how many homes. And I hope Steve Holmes maybe he'll tell us about that. But we're just trying to square up with finance and with the county administration how that would be different if we're looking at paying for things through a community finance district, which becomes a special assessment with your property taxes. And then we're both looking at connecting to private wastewater treatment plants. So we're trying to figure that out. We've had conversations with different people working on the Kahaluu project, but we need to do more and help them, and they help us, and everybody's got the same goal in mind. And that's the real nitty gritty of where we are like this week. So, Karen.
Oh, so again, that's our update. Would love to answer any questions anyone has. But again, our two asks are, let us know what the people in your communities are doing. And if they're working on trying to solve their wastewater issues, it doesn't mean that their solution is going to be exactly like ours, but a process is going to be very similar. So would love to share that. And then the other thing is we do need to meet with the Department of Environmental Management's engineering and technology team, get them hooked up with us, American Water, Mauna Lani, so that we can actually figure out the technical details of it. And we appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing, I would be remiss not to say, thank you to our team who's not here. We're in Puakon. We're spread all over, like a lot of people on vacation right now, but we couldn't do it without the volunteers in our community and on our team. So I just want to thank them.
So do you have any questions or?
Yeah, are there any questions from the commission? I have a couple. Dot, is there any did you have a question?
I guess what you need from us then is a recommendation to the council. I don't think we can directly address the council, can we?
No, what we need from you, Chair, Commissioner, is basically support. Is that If you have other communities, listen, we're all going to solve this wastewater issue on the Big Island together. And we're just 12 years ahead of a lot of communities. So let us talk. I'm trying to turn around and talk to you. I guess I should just look forward. So let us talk to your communities, ask us questions. We're happy to help. And then when it's time to fund the CIP revolving fund, encourage your council member and others to get it funded.
I think we have to do that on an individual basis. Is that right? Correct?
What's the question?
I assume if we're going to address the council, we have to do it on an individual basis, or can the commission do that as a collective letter or something to that effect?
Are you asking if the commission could support the PUCO effort with a letter of recommendation to the council?
Yes, essentially.
I believe so. It is. It is.
And you could, to answer your question, you can also speak on your own to your council member.
But having the commission write a support letter, it was very powerful when the South Kohala Planning Committee sent a letter to the council. And the council people are very supportive, but the more support we can get behind wastewater, the better.
I have a couple of questions that I would just like, I'm so excited to see this project go forward. I know,
We know without you, Erica.
I know so many people who have put so much effort in this over many decades. But I'm excited with the direction that it's going regarding the funding. And I was just wondering, how is the conversation going with financing and the resolution around owning that public-private infrastructure?
So it's at the beginning stages. So the finance department has told us that we must pay them $75,000 in order to begin conversations with them, which is a lot for a community to pay. That's really set up for a developer, but it's their process. And we've decided that we'll pay that, and hopefully it'll make it easier for other communities to work with them. So we're trying to develop an agreement with them so that they can then go and do the research on the items you're probably thinking about. How to pay for the public infrastructure, how to pay for the private infrastructure that's going to be on their private land. There's many questions the county itself has to answer, and they're going to need outside counsel to do that. So that's what the 75,000 is for. And we have a meeting scheduled with them in a couple of weeks to nail down that agreement.
Thank you. And to my understanding, I'm sorry, Commissioner Beats is asking in regards to the $75,000. And so you're saying that in order to work and begin, basically trigger and ignite the conversation with finance, that $75 will do that.
75,000.
75,000.
Well, there
So,
Can it
so
be $75?
yeah.
Apologies.
So again, the county, and rightly so, has to hire outside experts to do the work. And so that 75,000 will be used to pay them. Any additional money that they might need will also be able to come out of the revolving fund.
Thank you. And I did have a couple more questions. Regards of O&M of the infrastructure, I understand that you're working with DEM. Can you tell me a little bit about how that conversation is going with DEM and the sustainability of the system you're proposing?
We haven't begun discussions with DEM, so one of the things our ask in this meeting is that we'd like to have discussions with them. We met with them and the mayor in January, and we haven't been able to secure meetings with DEM yet.
There have been some phone calls
Right.
with our tech guys and Chris, but we need to get more formal.
And so we are working on financial models with an outside consultant who's done this for other communities in Hawaii, basically figuring out if we get a loan from the USDA, how do we pay back the capital costs? And then how do we add on the O&M? And that's what we really need DEM's work with.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to the financing structure that was actually done
Absolutely.
by Webb Associates in 2015, 16.
Yes.
Yeah. In regards to giving back the $1 million for access to other communities, can you describe a little bit more about that process of what that would look like?
Yeah, so when the project is approved by the CEFD, and then the county approves it, and then someone's going to have to pay for the construction of the project and all of the development work that goes around that. So I'm just simplifying to say construction of it. That'll be funded by the USDA. Bonds will be issued by the county to repay that loan. And in that repayment will be added the $1 million revolving fund. So that'll immediately get paid back into the revolving fund to be used by the next community or communities.
Karen, quick question on that. So
Yeah.
Jim Beats, District 1.
Hi.
So you're saying repayment, is that repayment back to USDA?
So yeah, it's complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's complicated. So USDA will provide the loan. The bonds will be issued by the county. We, as the community, will be charged with paying back, as Barbara said, through our taxes, I'm just approximating $20 million. USDA will provide a 30 to 40-year loan. So that's how it will work. But so it's all going to come out of the community's pockets
At this point.
at this point, unless we can all work together and find a better way. Thank you. Tony.
Are there any other questions from the commission?
John.
Thank you.
John Komitani. Are there any other communities beside Poco and in the Kahu area that are facing these same wastewater problems?
I think we don't actually know because the state deadline of 2050 to abandon all cesspools is seen by a lot of people as still a ways out. And that's why we're asking for any of your help, if you know groups, because there are many 49 lot subdivisions in this county because the requirement was you had to have your own wastewater treatment for 50 lots or more when you did a subdivision. So there's many with on-site wastewater treatment that are smaller subdivisions that we don't know, but we do know Kahalu'u, I believe there's something, I mean, this is really in Keaukaha or Hawaiian Homes that is something similar.
And can I also add that you don't have to just be a beachfront community to have the problem. So if there's small communities that are looking to get rid of their cesspools, putting in a sewer line connecting to a small package plant could be even more affordable than everyone putting in a septic system. So it really is in many communities, as Barbara was saying, they just don't have to be beachfront.
Delaware District 3, about the repayment of the $1 million. Yes, it's complicated, but you also mentioned that the community will help pay at least 30 million back into this.
So how it will work, Commissioner, is that in the end, the community will besides the $1 million revolving fund, that's a capital project. That's an item in the county capital budget. The rest of the project will be, I'm going to say 20 million plus or minus 5 million. So we're not using exact numbers. That entire amount will be paid by the 200 or so homes in Pullico. So you can do the math. Plus, on top of that, the O&M cost to just get our waste processed. We'll pay a fee to the county to collect it, and we'll pay a fee to American Water to treat it.
Thank you. And are all of the Poolco residents in agreement with that?
So again, we've done surveys over the past 12 years, and we've always had a really good positive response. And the latest response, which was last year, was 80% said, yes, it's a great idea. Because again, remember the wastewater that goes into right in front of their homes within 2 hours to 2 days every single day. So we know what we're swimming in. Everyone's for it if it's affordable. So we're trying to build a system that will be affordable to the community members. And a community facilities district allows us to have community members of different socio and economic levels pay different amounts. That's what a community facilities district does versus an improvement district. So we're trying to do that. We're also trying to make that price at or less than them replacing their cesspool, over a 10-year period. So again, it's complicated, it's hard, it's a lot of math.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who's going to determine the difference between the residents on their socioeconomic status?
Yeah, so we are working with our financing team that we've hired, who's done this in other communities in Hawaii. This is why we're also be working with the finance department. It will not be us and the neighbors. It'll be done by experts.
But they're
things like
trying to
that.
come up with a few different models, and it'll probably be a combination of county valuation of the property and maybe number of bedrooms and some equation. And we're starting on that now, actually.
Thank you. The reason I ask is because I represent Kilkaha.
Oh.
So,
Maybe
yeah.
you know someone.
Well, our concerns are sort of like yours, but a
Yeah.
little different. So I'm just wondering how you're going to determine assessing the fees to different people, because we have not only the residents of Kilka, which is almost a little over 400, but we also have the Le'ive area,
Right.
the hotels. So how would you justify the prices that you're going to charge or the rates you're going to charge?
And that's similar to we don't have hotels. We have one condo building, but we have 5-bedroom mansionettes, and we have old beach shacks from 1960. So that's why this community facilities district is the format rather than an improvement district, which just sets the same amount for every lot.
Okay.
And the other
So
thing
you
we're
can
also
adjust it.
The other thing we're also trying to do, Commissioner, is to really honor the longtime residents, especially the longtime Hawaiian residents that have been there, and making it so that, again, it's not only good for our community, but hopefully it'll be a blueprint for other communities like yours that can, use it as well.
Thank you. And the reason I asked this too is because 50 years ago, I was close to the family that owned Paniel, and I used to spend the summers there. So
I know.
it's more than just Kilkaha. It's what
Yeah.
has happened to Puako since.
Exactly. We understand.
And it's almost a mindset from what it was in the
1970. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, and people want a Western world. They want to have 5 bedrooms.
I don't know about that, but
Well, some people do.
yeah.
Not me, but some do. So you have to yeah, we're looking really hard at how to be flexible with that.
The other thing we'd also say is that we, in meeting with Montalani yesterday, they're looking at expanding, and we're looking at, and our line could also be working with their resorts. So you have resorts around you too. So maybe our work that we're doing with the Montalani Resort can tie into to help your community as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I think one of the main differences is that you're talking about public infrastructure versus private infrastructure in those two regions, which would be the biggest difference. But I'm very excited to see how far you folks have come. And I'm excited to see that there could be a potential benefit to the broader community and the county. There's many communities that are in need of support financially. I know as a member of the mayor's successful task force group, we are looking at ways to build funding to be able to support community. So I'm excited to see some inventive efforts coming from directly from a community.
Thank you. And if you want to contact us, our email's at the top of your page.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks again for your volunteering.
Thank you.
All right, if we would like to go ahead and continue to new business item number 2, Malama 1 presentation with Nick Doyle. Apologies. That was already supposed to be provided at the beginning of the new testimony.
Can you
Oh,
repeat that?
okay. Yes, okay, apologies. Apologies for the misunderstanding. Yes, we will go, I apologize, Mr. Doyle. We can go ahead and take the testimony now.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, it's not who's in the room.
Sorry, this is David Hunt, and I dropped out earlier, and your
Oh, okay.
tech assistant or someone with your commission had texted me
Christy.
when I got my, oh, thank you, Christy. And when I got my signal back, she said she would request that I be able to.
Excellent. Not a problem. We can go ahead and accept testimony now from you if you would like to continue. Apologies for the connection issue.
Oh, I'm sure that was on my end, and I apologize also. Anyway, I'll go ahead and
Okay.
finish. I won't repeat what I have said, but I just want to add that I'm
If
rather.
you could go ahead and, I'm sorry, if you could just restate the agenda item that you're providing testimony
Yeah,
for.
it was agenda item 2, Malama 1.
Very good.
Okay, and I'm just going to add on to what I had said previously, because as I said, I sent a written copy or an emailed copy rather to you. So if you don't have that now, you will. I sent it yesterday. It's probably en route to your file. Nonetheless, I'm concerned that the Department of Health would consider or grant any exemptions on this matter, whether it's an outright written exemption or just a choice to not require the appropriate EA or EIS for a facility such as the one that's being pursued by Malama 1. So I would like to request that you make a inquiry into an exemption, what I'm calling an exemption or a non-requirement for an EA or an EIS, including who would have granted an exemption like that, or who approved the granting of an exemption, or why an exemption was granted, and any other parties or issues involved in the granting of exemption that was granted to or promised to Malama 1. At a time when the scientific and medical communities are finally starting to fully understand the truths about the amount of microplastics and nanoplastics that every person on our planet already has in our tissue, especially in our brain tissue, and the carcinogenic threat from microplastics and nanoplastics that we all face. It's unacceptable for DOA, Department of Health, to consider an exemption for Malama One's proposed plastics facility. The term recycling or promises made by Malama One do not obscure the fact that this facility would be importing millions of pounds of plastics from off-island, storing millions of pounds of plastics, grinding millions of pounds of plastics, melting millions of pounds of plastics, and the resultant pollution, and also importing additional virgin plastic that would be required to mix with the post-user plastic, and the process generating massive amounts of waste of up to 30%, and the plastic sludge that poses a very significant threat to our land, air, water, and safety, and to public health. Any exemption from permitting, regulating, any exemption from public input, and all health and environmental impacts is really not acceptable. Again, your unbiased, intelligent review and intervention into this process, I feel, is needed and would be appreciated. And I failed to start by saying I certainly appreciate each one of your volunteer work for the commission. And finally, while you have the next gentleman coming up to explain and do a presentation on Malama One, perhaps he could respond to some of my concerns and specify what is going to be required in the permitting process and what perhaps they have been exempted from requiring to obtain in the permitting process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I see some folks in the room that would like to provide testimony. If you could please state your name and the, well, you're doing it above the agenda item, so I guess we know.
Yes, my name is Christine Kubat. I am the Executive Director of Recycle Hawaii. I am very much on the record for myself and our organization in opposition to the Malama One project. I will let my testimony that I submitted stand, but I'd like to add some comments to that. And, you know, plastic pollution is a crisis. It's an emerging concern. We're just starting to deal with it. We're all in it together. People have certain ideas about what's going to work, what's not going to work. And so very much in that spirit, we want to be a part of the solution. I feel like the Malama One project is very much a classic example of good, nice people doing the wrong thing the right way. Nick Doyle's always been very nice to me, the people from Malama One. I want to state that, you know, I'm appreciative of that. You can see the effort that they're making to do it the right way, but it's still the wrong thing. It's not the thing that we need. And so that's the point that we want to make. We can't let our positive feelings for someone's approach or the extent that they're going to, you know, try to mitigate the pollution, get in the way of us understanding that plastic recycling is the wrong thing. It's the wrong thing because plastic is the wrong thing. We're not going to solve the crisis unless we reduce plastic consumption by at least 75%. What is the low-hanging fruit in it? It's not the plastic that's wrapping the wires in your walls. It's not most of the plastic that gets used at a hospital. It's single-use containers. And taking a single-use container and turning it into a once recycled bottle does not help the situation. So the county, the government, everybody, we need to come together to solve this problem in a good way. And this commission can definitely take the position that there should be no further movement on this plant until the state has had a chance to promulgate rules regulating micro and nanoplastic pollution. That's very reasonable. And if Malama One is really sincere in wanting to end plastic pollution or play by the rules or doing everything they can to not harm the environment, they should be in favor of that position. The rules need to be in place because there might be other plants that come in and want to do the same thing, and perhaps they don't share that same commitment to protecting the environment. So it's a very rational position for this commission to take. The county could refuse to take the plastic sludge, declare it as special waste and say, no, we don't want it in our landfill. We don't want it in the landfill because it goes into the leachate. The leachate then goes to Kealakekee. From Kealakekee, it ends up in the ocean. There's a lot that the county can do to just say, no, thank you. And that will only move the process along. So thank you for this time. And it seems like a day to appreciate everyone for their volunteer services. So I will add to that sentiment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you could please state your name.
Aloha, my name is Justin Canellis, and I'm here today to speak out against the proposed plastic recycling facility. I think like many others, I used to believe that plastic recycling was a good thing. And I'm sure that, outside of the moneyed interest behind this facility, there may be sincere belief that this proposed facility will be helpful. But if the people advocating for this project have truly reviewed the science, they would know that we need to move away from plastics altogether and not be doubling down and investing more into them. Single-use plastics, whether it be plastic water bottles, microfiber towels, synthetic clothing, non-stick cookware, it's all toxic. Toxic to our INA, toxic to our oceans, and toxic to our bodies. After reading just the first chapter of A Poison Like No Other, I was horrified by the extent to which plastic has already invaded our ecosystems and our own biology. It is poison, and it should be treated as such. As a soon-to-be father, this has become deeply personal. My partner and I have asked everyone not to give gifts that are going to give baby gifts to avoid plastic altogether. No plastic toys, no plastic blankets, no plastic clothing. Because knowing what I know now, I would feel like I was failing my duty to protect my child if I knowingly brought these toxins into their life. That's how serious this is. So I ask, why at a time when Hawaii is actively exploring legislation to move away from single-use plastics, would we allow the development of a facility that depends on their continued production and use? It doesn't make sense as a business model. And this is not a move towards sustainability. It's a step backwards, one that locks us deeper into a harmful cycle that we already know is broken. So our youth group, who you will hear from, recently met with 2 delegations from Cancer Alley in Louisiana, youth and adults whose communities have been devastated by plastic manufacturing. Their stories were heartbreaking. I think everyone in the room cried when they heard them. Children unable to go outside, high rates of illness, chemicals in the air and water, entire neighborhoods suffering, and family members dying at 40 or 50 years old being a norm, something that they just deal with of cancer. So it deeply impacted our youth, and it made them see just how much we have to lose here in Hawaii if we allow plastic production and recycling industries to take root on our islands. Malama One as a Hawaiian company could be leading the way, moving toward boxed glass or aluminum packaging and helping shift us away from plastic entirely. But instead, they are pushing for a facility that perpetuates plastic use and risks the health of our people and environment for profit. So one of the guiding slogans of our program is Ikava Mamua, Ikava Mahope. We look to the past and our ancestors as a guide to the future. And if we look in the past, plastic was nowhere to be found. So I ask you to reject the permits for this facility. Thank you for your time. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Hi, if you could please state your name.
Hi, I'm Connor Smith. Aloha, nani kumana oloa, kukile kile ka aina o ku'u, malo ke au puni ke walani. Kalanu ke au mukua ke au wala velina. O kana kuina no kuhu kumaya, he hamana au mai ka iho ia, mahalo. Aloha mai kako. My name is Connor Smith, and I am part of Malama Aina Compostables, a youth-led zero waste program based in Ka'u. I am here today to speak out against the proposed plastic recycling facility, not just for myself, but on the behalf of my other youth advocates who care deeply about this island. Before joining my zero waste group, I didn't think plastic was that big of a deal. But once I started learning more through research and working with my team, I began to see the truth. Youth aren't being told the full story about the dangers of plastic production, use, and so-called recycling. The reality is that plastic recycling doesn't solve the problem, it continues it. There are solutions to plastic pollution, but very few are actually being implemented into our communities. Instead of addressing the root of the problem, this facility would make it worse. We don't want your plastic factory here on our island. You say it will help us, but really it brings harm. You say it's beneficial, but it's like bringing a disease into our home, and we care deeply about our home. It's our aina, our land. I speak for myself and for my community when I say all we've ever known is the land. It raised us, and we care for it in return. It's a cycle of care and responsibility. When you bring in industrial technology that promotes more plastic, you break that cycle. You create harm where there's once harmony. According to A Poison Like No Other by Matt Simon, we don't want to end up like the people on the mainland who are now breathing in over 7,000 microplastic particles every single day. That's not the future we want. I'd also like to tell you a short story. There's a community that I learned about that lives in Cancer Alley in Louisiana. There, a plastic production facility was built right next to a preschool. The children can't even go outside to play. Many have developed health issues like eczema, asthma, and cancer, some so severe they end up bedridden in pain every day. We've seen what happens when factories like this are allowed to grow. We've seen the damage to people, to land, to health, and we're asking, why would you ever want that here? Please hear us, the youth, the future of this island. We are saying no to this facility, not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come. Mahalo. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Would you like to go? Please state your name.
Good morning. My name is Roxy Castaneda, and I'm a youth zero waste advocate with Malama Compostables in Ka'u. I wanted to speak out about this crucial issue that affects our island, our health, and our future. The proposal to build a plastic recycling facility here might seem like a step in the right direction, but I'm here today to tell you why I believe it's a misstep. Being born and raised in Hawaii, while growing up, I never really thought of or really understood the damage that plastics had caused, not just to our island, but worldwide. Matt Simon writes in his book, A Poison Like No Other, that the road to hell is paved with good intentions and how microplastics have already entered the global bloodstream and our atmosphere. We don't need nor want to invite more plastic problems into our lives. Plastic recycling facilities are known to emit toxic chemicals into the environment, like the air and water. And given our island's natural beauty and unique ecosystem, we can't afford to risk contaminating our environment further. Our island is home to strong, beautiful communities and to an incredible array of beauty found nowhere else on Earth. Let's protect that and keep that alive. But most importantly, building a plastic recycling facility doesn't address the root cause of the problem, which is plastics. Instead of investing in facilities that might only marginally reduce plastic waste, we should focus on reducing plastic waste together. Matt Simon notes in his book that if large-scale recycling actually worked, the industry would stop building plastics facilities, not build more of them. He goes on to a quote from Judith Inc., who is a former EPA regional administrator and president of Beyond Plastics. The petrochemical industry is still trying to fool people into thinking that plastics recycling is a solution, and it's been an abysmal failure. Later in the book, Simon goes on to point out the ubiquity of plastic is a relatively recent phenomenon. We can reverse this trend by making conscious choices. As you consider the proposal for a plastic recycling facility, please remember that good intentions aren't enough. We must think about the potential consequences and prioritize solutions that will truly benefit our community and environment. Let's not pave the road to hell with good intentions. Let's choose a path that will truly lead to a sustainable future for Hawaii and that will preserve our island's health and future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. It's wonderful to see some young folks in here participating in the system. Are there any other folks that would like to provide testimony to new business? Okay, I think that what we might do right now, oh, yes, absolutely, please.
Hi, my name is Jolie Ng. I am the executive director of the Kokua Initiative at Waiakea. I'm also a Kanaka. I am 55 years resident of Hawaii Island, and I care for my community, and I care for the people of my community, which is why I joined the Kokua Initiative to give back to the community. So if you've seen water or one of our donations out there in the community, it probably went through me. The donations that you see in the community is only about 20% of what we do at Kokua Initiative. But I am here in support of Malama One, is what we call it. It's not Malama One, it's Malama One. It's a poetic name of saying taking care of the land. I just want to give a little bit of a positive behind Malama One. Hawaii has limited landfill space, and we often burn or ship plastic waste, which releases dioxins and other carcinogens into the air. But Malama One processes PET, or will be processing PET, PPE locally into clean, reusable materials, eliminating the need to burn or export. This cuts down on airborne toxins, and it helps our communities. I'm a little concerned after sitting here. This is my first time being here. I did not submit a written testimony, but I am a little concerned that we're choosing, or we're trying to not do anything about the plastic that is already in our environment. We need to do something about the trash that is already here. We're not talking about making new plastic. We're talking about doing something with the plastic that is already in our environment. We need to do something with it. That's why we have microplastics, because we're not doing anything with it. It's just sitting there. It's from people littering. Pollution comes from people actually littering and not doing anything with the trash that we already have. We need to do something with it in order to solve the problem. And I am choosing, yes, plastic is not good for our environment, but it's already here. But I'm choosing to do something with it. And Malama One is it's a closed loop system. So it's a zero waste, it's a zero discharge. It won't have any discharge that goes into our landfill. It won't have any sludge or particles released into the air. That is taken care of. And I checked on that first when I first heard about it, because I love my environment, I love my community, and I want to make sure that it's something good for us here. That's about. So we have zero liquid discharge. And then I just want to say that a lot of the recycling plants that are out there has a different system, and we produced a system that is a closed loop system. So that is important in this concerns that is being brought up today, because a lot of the concerns are based on recycling plants around the world that is different. It's about, there is waste that comes out of it, liquid and air. This one is closed. No liquid, no air discharge. I also want to include that when you recycle plastic, when you do a recycled, oh,
Yeah.
I have
If
to
you could,
stop.
I'm sorry, if you could.
No.
I can give you a few more seconds.
Okay. I'm just gonna stop here. I think my most focused part was the zero waste discharge part, and then I'll let Nick go. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Delaware District 3. I want to thank Jody, because I am a firm believer of using what there is, but I'm also very, it was kind of emotional, Justin called Kona and Roxy, because you're young. And I know Stacy Brennan had a project down in Ka'u, Hawaii Wildlife Foundation. So I know you've worked with her, I think. But, I'm very proud to hear the young people so passionate about this because, yeah, it's not good. So thank you very much. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other public testimony either in the room or online? Okay, I think that what we are going to do is pause for a quick recess, and we can go ahead and get the next presenter all queued up and ready to go after. So if we could go ahead and return in at 10:30, 5 minutes. Okay, welcome back to the EMC Commission meeting. Before the next presentation goes, I would just wanted to make a quick announcement. There are cards that are up here. If you do have questions, you could go ahead and please write them down and Christy will pass them to me. If there are folks online, if you have questions, you can insert them in the chat and Christy will log them and we will do what we can to get the questions answered. I will start with direct comments and questions from the commission, and hopefully we can possibly address all of the concerns or comments, and we will do what we can to make sure to address the questions that we do receive. And I can go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Doyle for his presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner, and the esteemed commission. Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go. I want to say thank you to everybody here that has presented testimony today. For the kind words, thank you, Christine. I love your passion. I want you to keep it up, please. We need it. We have a tremendous waste problem, and it is a global one. It is here on our shores as well. But I'm going to get started here. I've got a pop-up screen. Computer's about to restart. Snooze. Okay. So I'll begin with my presentation on Malama One. The Malama One Recycling is a social impact venture where we have a sole mission as an exclusive service provider for the state of Hawaii to provide closed loop turnkey recycling solutions that will allow us to create 100% locally sourced, a 100% recycled content, renewable supply chain for the island's manufacturers. What are we making? These specific raw materials, I brought these up in the last presentation when I came in last month. We're making preforms. This is the precursor to every single beverage container bottle that is made. And every single beverage manufacturer in state imports these in. And oftentimes they're made out of virgin plastic. What we'll be doing is taking the high 5 PET that is currently being exported out of state, and Hawaii never sees those resources again. And we were keeping them here so that we can manufacture these and create a sustainable, dependable supply chain for Hawaiian manufacturers. Our concerns are your concerns. We have the same concerns affecting our INA, microplastic pollution, the toxins associated with microplastics and their threat to human health and well-being, finding a long-term solution for plastics pollution challenges we face every day here in Hawaii and around the world, and lastly, the potential emissions. To start off, I wanted to talk about how not all plastics are created equal. Here we have the 7 different consumer resins, 1 through 7. You can find these on the bottoms of your containers to identify which one it is. But which ones are recyclable? Number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 5 are recyclable. And which ones can be closed loop in a circular economy here in Hawaii? Only number 1s and 2s. This is what we're focusing on right now for PET. We remain residents in the practical. We are not here to solve problems for plastics recycling that do not exist nor work. PET is proven globally to work. Looking at microplastic contributing sources, it's misunderstood the source of microplastics in the waterways. looking at this graph, this chart, we can see, and this is from a report that I had shared last time, that 35% of the microplastic pollution in waterways comes from the washing of synthetic textiles. Less than 0.1% comes from recycling plastics. We can also see erosions from tires and city dust, but by stamping out single-use plastics will not have any impact whatsoever on the flow of microplastics into our waterways, because it is not a contributor. The synthetic textiles are. But that's not to say that, hey, it's not us, so we're not going to do anything about it. Later on in this presentation, I'll discuss a little bit about what we are doing about it. So this is the slide. What we're doing to mitigate microplastics. First of all, diverting any plastics from landfill is an immediate impact on mitigating microplastic leakage. And then in phase 1B, we'll be focusing on other plastics as well, but right now we're focusing on the PET. As brought up multiple times in today's session, we do have a zero liquid discharge system. And what it is exactly what it sounds like. We have no liquid discharge. There is no sludge being produced, and we are unlike any other PET recycler of our kind in North America. So if you look in North America for sources, you're not going to find this technology. You're not going to find anybody practicing it. It is done in Europe and in Asia, areas where there are much higher and more robust food safety and environmental regulations than we even have here. And then going on to the microplastics from our textiles. As I said before, we are not just saying, oh, look, hey, it's not us, so we don't have to deal with it. Our mission is to Aloha Aina. And to do that, we do not turn a blind eye to the real culprits of microplastic pollution. So we have come out and designed a microplastic filter that goes on the back of all washing machines. We're not marrying up to any brands. This is just a standalone system or unit, and it'll be able to address the single largest contributor of microplastics going into our waterways. It's an inexpensive solution, and there are already countries and 14 states across the country here that are already considering microplastic filters on the backs of all of their washing machines. France and Switzerland. France has passed it. Switzerland is coming. So the world is aware, right? And the importance is, the difference. How do we ensure toxin-free recycled plastic packaging? There's a process to it. First is adequate collection, which we have. Believe it or not, the High 5 PET is some of the cleanest in the United States. I have High 10 there. Yes, we are High 5, but I want to, state that we are in favor of High 10 to further incentivize the public to continue recycling. Right now, about 50% of the state's PET or High 5 eligible PET is being disposed. We're not incentivizing people enough to recover it for High 5. And then curbside collection, which only Oahu has. The second is following the stringent federal and food safety standards. And this falls under the US FDA, and we have a letter of no objection from the FDA to create food grade recycled content packaging. And lastly, utilizing standard FDA compliant technologies, right? And with all three of these processes in place, you greatly mitigate, if not eliminate, the presence of BPA, PFAS, and phthalates in PCR food grade packaging, which are all the chemicals that, yes, are very toxic. But it comes down to the governing and enforcing body. And this is something that I really want to bring up because it's important to shed some perspective on the global challenges in plastics. Just as all plastics are not created equal, not all recycled content plastics are created equal. The source of where they're manufactured does matter. And here I know it's a little small, but for those of you who want to take a deeper dive in this, you can zoom in onto this slide specifically. I know it's a lot of information. But I have it categorized globally which countries have the most stringent and robust and are leading the global standard on food safety utilizing post-consumer recycled content plastics. The hard truths, 76% of the world does not make this list, the sovereign nations. 5.1% of the world sovereign nations classify as high risk, but that 5.1 represents nearly 3 billion consumers. So if we're going to sit here and talk about the global plastics problem we're having, we really need to look at where it's being manufactured. Because you see the EU and the US are number 1 and 2, right? But China alone, not to place blame on any one country, but China alone has a greater population than the top and everybody in that first place category there. So if they choose not to practice good food safety laws, The world's plastic quality is going to suffer for it, but we cannot sit here and say that we are one and the same. The EU and the US invest heavily into making sure that these standards are compliant. And these standards are really there to enforce and make sure that we're not poisoning the people. Looking at the impacts. So what we did is we went through over 400 peer-reviewed studies to understand the impact of a proposed ban. So if Hawaii were to replace all high five eligible PET with locally produced, that's locally manufactured, recycled glass or aluminum, or 100% post-consumer recycled content. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but I do want to point out glass, right? It requires 700,000 homes, single-family homes worth of electricity. The 2023-24 census data said that there's about 429,000 single-family homes in the entire state. If you look at all these, red is severe, yellow is still not good, but green you see with rPET, that rPET is actually the only packaging that has a positive environmental benefit when we look at the holistic impact. Right, and this follows the same sustainability targets or sustainability key performance indicators that the UN does, and that's in energy consumption, waste production, solid waste production, water consumption, and greenhouse gas emissions. So to understand what we are, it's important to understand what we are not. References were made to Cancer Alley in Louisiana. Cancer Alley has virgin plastic refineries and virgin plastic manufacturing facilities there. Virgin plastic manufacturing facilities taking virgin petroleum, and turning it right into virgin plastics. We are not making virgin plastics straight from well. We are recycling plastics again and again. I mentioned prior in the last session that we are not a friend to the petrochemical companies, just as the secondhand market is not a friend to the fashion industry. We are reusing their resources again and again, and PET actually can be recycled at minimum of 11 times into the same bottle again, not one. Okay, so we're not a virgin plastics refinery. We're also not a waste energy incinerator. Waste energy incinerator takes it, torches it, turns into electricity, comes up with a syngas, and the residual is ash, highly toxic ash, which is landfilled. That is a source of reduction or a waste reduction, source reduction technique. It is not recycling. We are a recycling facility. We are taking the bottles and turning them right back into the exact same thing they were before, maybe a different brand, but the very same form of bottle. And this is closed loop recycling, turning them back into the preforms. And one of the differentiating factors is what's shown here is our impact, our emissions, our solid waste. We have none. And this is by design, because we understand what it takes to do business here and to be able to have no impact on the environment, and to be able to demonstrate that having low environmental impact infrastructure, low impact infrastructure as far as taking from the resources that the community also draws from, but also having a low impact on the environmental side, or a low impact on negative environmental impacts. And that's it for my presentation. I wanted to keep it short and sweet so that we could leave room for all the Q&A that you guys surely have. So thank you for your time, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it. I will open it up to the commission, and excellent.
John Komitani, District 9. Early on in the presentation, you mentioned putting the filter at the back of the washing machine. What purpose is that gonna?
Simply to make sure that the microplastics do not go into the main water discharge waterways and then flow to the wastewater treatment plants.
So is that the same thing like with the, what's the thing you have with your washing machine, your dryer?
Oh, the lint filter?
Or what I'm trying to say is, would a filter help discharge going into the air too?
No, it's just for the water. Just for the water, the microplastics that are known contributors from washing of clothes.
So it's coming from the clothes?
Yes. So every time you wash a shirt and it fades a little bit, that's color dye fading, but that's also material transfer. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments or questions from the commission? Okay, please
May
go
I,
ahead.
may I have a couple of questions here? You state that there is no solid waste from your process that would be going into a landfill, period?
No, there is a small particulate. So we have no sludge, but what we have is particulate matter, which is like dirt, grit, dust, little things like that, which are non-special treatment waste and can be disposed in the landfill like any other non-special waste. But
Okay.
that is
I would
that
have,
is
I'll go
sorry.
ahead. That would have,
that is our only discharge. That is our only waste byproduct that we will be disposing.
okay. And that has no microplastic leachate, or if the landfill you know, gets rained on or something like that, does the leachate has microplastic in it?
When it rains on the landfill, ours, what we contribute is not going to be a contributor. It's not going to be majorly toxic or toxic at all. It's just like you're putting grit and dirt in the landfill.
Okay, your presentation is really, really nice, but other people have come up with other studies that have shown problems with recycling plastic. I was wondering, where does your data come from? Is it all in-house, or is it third party? Any third party monitoring of your system done and published?
As a third party when we're operating, or third party?
Well, you put out a lot of data on contaminants and that sort of thing. Do you actually have a third party evaluate your system to actually validate your assertions here?
We can cite all of our sources. All the sources that we've cited are in the presentation. I cannot name them directly, but things like the NAPCOR, or there's Science Direct, there's the ICUN International. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but I'm happy to share all of this data that we have with you guys. We're not hiding anything. We're just uncovering the questions that are not being asked and seeking to answer them and provide that information.
I didn't mean to imply that you were hiding anything.
No, it's no big deal. It's just want to put that out there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. One other question, I just wondering, the permit was, it was waived by the DOA?
Not wavered, but we earned a solid waste exemption permit per the terms of the law. We fall under that, and we were able to demonstrate that. We went through thorough due diligence with the DOH, shared everything with them on what we're doing operationally. Went a lot of back and forth, a lot of questions, and they concurred that and concluded that we are solid waste exemption eligible.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much as well.
Yep, go ahead, Mr.
Jim Beats, District 1. Thanks a lot, Mr. Doyle. That was a really interesting presentation, and certainly all of us want to decrease the amount of plastic in the environment. You were mentioning, I've got a few questions. You were mentioning the particulate matter that would go to the landfill. Do you have estimates on volume?
It really varies. I mean, if we're taking in, if there's dirt or mud, we run through a puddle and that gets splashed up on to the feedstock, that's what's coming out. So it's hard to say what that's going to be right now without running the system, but it's something that we're happy to.
So presently that's not estimated.
Yes.
And will that particulate matter include any microplastics, nanoplastics?
Very scant amounts because we have collection systems and other processes that are within our system that are meant to mitigate the spread of those throughout the system. And we're able to collect those.
Okay, thank you. I'm a little unclear. I thought I understood that you stated you would only be using high five. Is that correct? So you wouldn't be using any other plastics?
Right now, any source separated PET plastics has to be source separated by the law. Source separating means that it's the only source separation program that exists right now officially on island is a high five program.
Right.
Right.
So other plastic collections that may be done within the state, could that also be sourced?
So as long as it's source separated, which means that it's the consumer that brings it in to be recycling, it is not being collected through curbside. It is not a business collection. It is the individual, the generator, separating it and putting it in the bin because that ensures that it is not commingled with any other recyclables or any MSW.
And I know that there's been a concern by some of our citizens here on the island that that some of the feedstock, as you referred to, will be coming from other islands. And you have an estimate of the the volume that will be needed from other islands?
I mean, it's all the high five material from the other islands because currently all of it is being exported out of state and leaving room for virgin material to come in and be imported and putting our manufacturers in a pinch with timeline and victim to the global freight dynamics. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And something that I read said that there would possibly be about 35% non-recyclable.
That's when you're looking at other facilities across the country that do not collect
Comparative.
source separated material, such as in California, there's a B grade CRV. That's incentivized collection, but it is 54% purity. And that means it's 54% eligible CRV material, right? So there for sure they're getting it. And if you look at HDPE or polypropylene or other resins, absolutely. But PET is not that way, especially with source separated.
So obviously some of those plastics that you will be receiving will not be usable because they'll be contaminated or, unwashed, et cetera, right? Will you have a washing facility or would it just be separation and those items would be going to the landfill?
No, it's a full turnkey. So we go bottle to preform. So we take the bottle, we sort it by color, take the labels off, take the tamper rings and any caps that may have been left on, which there are some. And then we use a friction wash and a hot wash to wash it. And then it goes to flake and then it goes to pellet, gets FDA approved, and then we put it into preforms.
Okay, so
And so things like the caps and the rings, those are recyclable and we intend to do that.
right,
Right.
okay. The next question that I have is actually related to the amount of water that you will be using, and you will have wastewater from your facility.
No wastewater. That's what the zero liquid discharge is for.
So you'll be using water and then
So we have
treating your own water.
We have a two-step closed loop circulation process. First is all of our wash line water goes to a water recirculation unit that cleans and recovers 70% of our water. The remainder of that goes to zero liquid discharge, which further cleans it and re-injects it back into the stream. The only fresh water that we will need to re-inject is that evaporates because we are using hot water to clean these plastics. So there is no discharge.
So at this point, are you foreseeing needing any environmental permits?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
We have the air permit exemption, solid waste permit exemption. And
I'm so sorry. Do you mind speaking a little bit into the thing? Because we have folks online also, and I would,
sorry,
smashed your knee.
the leg.
But we just want to
Happens
make
every
sure to
time.
be able to get everything on the online.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll sorry for everybody online.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know I and others have had a difficult time getting details on reading about what's being proposed. And without having an oversight and, and permitted industry happening, there are obviously going to be concerns. So I highly encourage you to start providing much more information, because it's going to be difficult for us to make decisions based on the goodwill that's being presented.
Understandable.
I'm a retired scientist. I have read too much information on the impacts of, plastics in the environment, and certainly the effluents, both atmospheric and water impacts. And it's just remarkable to hear that there will be no impact at all, or minimal impact. So additional information is really going to be needed for us to make a clear understanding and evaluation.
Absolutely. There is additional information that was submitted to public record prior or for the January EMC meeting. That is
2 pages.
Got it. Yeah. That plus what's submitted for testimony today, but I'm available. I have my contact information here. Any information you have, questions you have, please do not hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm happy. I live on island, and I'm happy to be a resource to you guys as you continue to learn.
Thank you.
Yes.
We really appreciate your time and coming in and presenting. I might have a couple of maybe just pull back to some higher level questions a little bit. I was hoping to get a little bit more clarity of your operations in the presentation, and I feel like it kind of left me a little bit more confused than answering questions. Are you currently operating on Hawaii County? You are not.
No.
When is your plan to operate? Because I noticed the presentation is focuses on phase B and doesn't actually really speak of the actual business plan.
Right.
And so can you speak a little bit more towards that and when you're anticipating hoping to kind of take this live?
Well, right now we're looking at 2026 to go live with it. But the reason I didn't include any operations data is this is a wildly complex process. And given the 20-minute period that I have here to present, it was not enough time. I would have left you again more confused. Right. Because it is a complicated process. It's very scientific. We have all the information and data and are able to share that with you. But I would recommend, and I'm happy to do so, to extend this out and have additional meetings to where we can take deeper dives into this with you guys. Right. And maybe segment it out, operations talk, business talk, just so that we have some time to really digest this information that we have. It is a lot.
And do you know the volume that you're wanting to actually receive from the rest of the state into Hawaii County of material?
Right now it's about 4,000 tons a year coming in.
And then how much of that will be lost in your process and where will that go?
So all that will be lost in our process is that that particulate that's coming out, but that's not a part of the PET. That's additional material that was added in. And so from labels to caps to non-PET impurities, those are all going to be purified and then exported for recycling.
I have to say that I'm much more familiar with the wastewater industry. And when I hear zero waste, zero O&M, zero need of a system, I tend to be very skeptical of that system. They're living systems most of the time, so they do require O&M. What regulation would oversee your business or this endeavor?
It would be, well, at the federal level, it's the FDA, the FDA LNO. And then at the state level, it's the DOH with the solid waste.
Okay.
Right. And not just to clarify, there is O&M. There is in-depth O&M. But again, I didn't include it here because I wanted to start with a high-level introduction of what we're doing. Right. Introducing it just for an introductory purpose with a full expectation that you guys want to talk more about this. So.
And I guess I just have one final question is I did try looking up Malama 1 and finding more information and where it directed me to was Waikea Water. And can you speak a little bit about the relationship of Malama 1 and Waikea Water?
Yeah, we're partners. partners in this because we need to be able to have somebody that can help us with local knowledge and understanding of operations in Hawaii, as well as an offtakes agreement. You know, Waiakea is the ecotech leader in premium water.
And
brands, right?
what does YK Water do?
They bottle water
Bottle water from where?
here, but I mean, I don't work for Waiakea. I am Malama. We are a wholly separate entity.
So Malama One is in fact completely separate than YK Water.
It is.
So you won't be producing any YK Water bottles?
We'll be producing preforms for Waiakea and for others.
Okay,
Right?
thank
Just
you
the supply chain.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I really appreciate it. I did do a little bit of research on this because this has come up obviously so much within our commission and we have been discussing it. And I just wanted to bring up on that January 1st EMC meeting, as a commission, we did send a letter to DEM with concerns that I feel pretty sure that some of the concerns still are in existence. And so what I just wanted to do is go back to the February 4th of 2025 letter that the EMC sent to Department of Environmental Management, as well as the members of Hawaii Council, and really urging them to address some of these concerns of regulation, oversight, environmental management, and really not just Mr. Doyle to your endeavor, but really just to anybody that is wanting to bring in a plastic recycling facility to Hawaii County. So if I just wanted to make sure that we, as a commission, remember that we did discuss this and have sent a letter of recommendation to DEM. And I feel after the presentation still pretty confident in that recommendation.
Could you send those? I mean, we weren't addressed on that letter.
It's yeah, absolutely. It is public testimony. It's on the EMC website and it is absolutely available to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. There's more questions. Sorry.
So Mr. Doyle, again, this is Jim Beats, District 1. I had two other quick questions. When I was going through the material that's been provided, I wasn't clear on where your facility location is.
It's going to be in Cal.
In Cal.
In Cal, Shipman Park, Industrial Park adjacent, Shipman Business Park adjacent.
Shipments, okay, Industrial Park. And the other thing I forgot to ask earlier, will you be using any virgin plastic?
No.
In your feedstock?
I mean, look, if a brand were, any one of the Hawaiian brands were to say, hey, we're going to use virgin and we're not going to purchase Malama One's locally sourced preforms, that's up to them. We have no control over that. We just make sure that that virgin plastic gets recycled back in again and circulates. We cannot control what the brands do.
Okay, thank you. And one other quick question, because you mentioned it. You said Waiakea Water is a partner. Is that a business partner relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
John, excuse me, John Komitani, District 9. Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any facilities currently up and running somewhere else besides here, or?
No.
So this would be a first time.
This is a
venture.
first time for this facility in any kind of its kind in Hawaii. But these facilities exist across the world. And the technologies we're using are all commercially proven. There's no reinventing the wheel. There's no, bleeding edge of a new technology that's been unproven. Everything that you see, you'll see in our facility and our proposal can be found in multiple places around the world.
Are there any facilities in the United States?
Mm-hmm. One in Los Angeles. There's also one, actually it's not in the US, it's in Canada, but it's, they're doing quite similarly what we're going to be doing, and it's a proven, and we're doing well. It's called Ice River Recycling.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Thank you.
One from me. Dorothy Norris, District 8. I was wondering, who's gonna, is there any kind of monitoring of any of the discharge that you might have? You say you have zero waste, but then you mentioned that you have some going to the landfill. Do you have any and the water? You don't have any kind of monitoring of the facility at all or its effects?
Well,
Is that-
once the system is up and running, we will have quite a few integrated systems and softwares to monitor the whole system production holistically and between process modules and component wise. We are going to be very closely monitoring our inbound quality and outbound quality and discharge to make sure that we both live up to what our promises were to our customers in terms of quality, but also live up to the promises we made to the communities on how we recycle.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I have one more that came from the audience. I just wanted to make sure that we clarify. Is your process going to actually result in sludge? And I think that folks are just wanting clarification from maybe some presentations that they had seen from you previously, where it was noted that there would be sludge that would be coming from your facility that would be needing to be hauled to our solid waste facilities.
Yeah, I think it was a misunderstanding of what the discharge of the ZLD is. The zero liquid discharge is not sludge. It is particulate matter. And I could see that the confusion being there that they say, okay, that is automatically sludge, but there is no sludge in our process. The zero liquid discharge system is discharging solid particulates, not sludge.
And then thank you for that. And then one final question. Would it make more sense to have, and I'm not proposing this for Oahu, or I don't know if you thought of taking it to Oahu, but being the population size is so large there, would it make more sense in regards of transportation? And why Hawaii County?
One, because the location of our strategic partner with Waiakea makes it easier for us to have that side of it. But two, there's a lot of development infrastructure on Oahu, and the outer islands have not very much. So we want to focus on the communities that are in the need. And Oahu has their infrastructure all planned out and everything. And it just wasn't conducive for us to be on Oahu. It made more sense to be on the Big Island, create the jobs we will, and have the social and environmental impact on the outer islands, starting with the Big Island.
Thank you. And I see your infrastructure, it's all proprietary. The process is a proprietary process. I read online.
It's proprietary?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the IP for the microplastics filter is proprietary, but the organization of our system, there's nothing proprietary about that.
So there's no concerns of like supply chain issues with ongoing O&M and being able to maintain.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other questions? We are rounding up. I see one coming from the audience, so I'm going to let one more, but I'm going to call and maybe have this be the last one. So if anybody has any more questions, please get them in and we will be closing this item and going to our next agenda item.
May I ask one final question?
I'm sorry, if you have questions, you can send them in the chat if you're online, and Christy will pass them to me.
I did put it in the chat, but I don't think it's made it to you.
If you can go ahead and maybe try again. Okay, Mr. Doyle, what are the risks to the workers and locals that are either living around that area or working in this facility?
Thank you for asking that question. Minimal by design. We have a negative pressure building. We're going to be doing all operations indoors with the negative pressure system, the meaning that when we open those doors, air will not blow out, it'll suck in. Second to that, we have a HEPA equivalent filter that will be in there to process all of the air particulate, both for our workers and to ensure that nothing gets outside for the air quality. We'll be abiding by all OSHA standards, of course, right? Employee safety is our number one priority. We're going to provide training for all of our employees. And we have invested quite a bit in making sure that this is a safe facility with SOPs in place for safety.
Thank you.
And everybody's going to be required to wear personal protective equipment, including safety vests, steel-toed shoes, safety glasses, earplugs, and hard hat and gloves.
Okay. And then what is the volume of the particulate discharge that you're anticipating?
Yeah, we had talked about before. It's
I'm
really
sorry.
hard to estimate because it's just, if we were to transport the material through and it was splash in a puddle and a bunch of mud were to wash up on the feedstock, that's what that would be. So it's circumstantial, but we want to make sure that we have this process there no matter what to have
Great.
to serve as that mitigator of any pollution and effluent.
Okay. Thank you. And do you have experience running these utilities or these facilities and
Designing
bringing?
and building them. Yes, basically looking at, okay, what's the composition? Where's the need? Is there a need? And then going from conceptual to full developed execution. So
I'm sorry, but full execution hasn't happened yet in the
Has not
United
happened,
States.
but-
So really, is this more R&D?
no, I mean, it hasn't happened. Our systems are running, all except for the zero liquid discharge is running across the United States, North America, South America, Europe, everywhere. The zero liquid discharge is running in Europe and Asia at the moment. I'm sorry, your question was with regards to, I wanted to close it with something.
Just your experience
Oh, yeah.
with developing and
Yeah.
operating these facilities?
Right, it hasn't been on the operations side, though members of our team do have over a decade of experience in doing so. It's more on the design and development of the system. I've designed systems for major franchise companies on the mainland, Waste Management, GFL, Republic. I've done plastics recycling facilities for several different companies, designing those and understanding what their challenges are and how to turn it into a turnkey sustainable business solution.
Thank you. Okay, I think thank you so much, Mr. Doyle. We appreciate your presentation and your time here today.
More question. This is Dot Norris, commissioners. Can I?
Go ahead, Dot.
All right. You mentioned that there will be 4,000 tons per year brought to this island of plastic waste. Is the source separation going to be done prior to coming to this island, or is it going to affect our landfills? Are you going to do the source separation here?
No, the source separation must be done by the generating party. So if we're collecting plastic or PET, high five PET from Oahu, it has to be source separated by the generator, whoever that is on Oahu.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, we are not bringing in plastic waste. The high five PET, these are recycled. These are commodities that are sold for a positive dollar value on the international market. If it were waste, it would be they'd be paying to get rid of it. Right, but because it's a recyclable commodity and it's listed on the ISRI materials circular list, the International Standard of Resource Index, I think, or Recycled Materials Index, but it is a commodity. We are not in the waste business. We are in the recycling and resource reclamation business.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to be moving on to agenda item 5, reports from the DEM and correspondence.
This computer is about to restart. I've tried to snooze it several times, but it's very stubborn. It's very stubborn.
Is that our computer? I don't.
Yeah, this one.
Oh, I'm like, oh, I don't know whose computer that is.
It's all good. Yeah, of course. Just doing my best. Like I didn't want to cut off.
We do. Okay, is there any public testimony for this agenda item? We are on agenda item 5, reports and correspondence from Department of Environmental Management. I think we are safe to go ahead and continue. Okay, I think we're good to go. Thank you so much.
Test. Okay. Yeah. So Craig Kawaguchi, Deputy Director, Environmental Management. Report. Yeah. So as far as the budget update, we're still going to wait till the budget is final before we give all the projects, I guess.
Is there, I know we're just staring. I'm sorry, so you don't have an update at all
Yeah, no,
for
not
item
as far
A,
as the
is that what
budget.
you're saying?
Yeah.
You can go ahead and go through your whole, the whole update, and then we can go ahead and ask questions and follow up.
So as far as any updates today, I didn't have any updates, but just wanted to introduce Mike Rivera, the permanent new solid waste chief. So it's been about 4 years since we've had a permanent solid waste chief.
Okay, excellent. Do we have questions? Do you mind if we have questions from the commission regarding the agenda items?
Yeah.
Okay. So does the commission have any question regarding agenda items 5 regarding DEM correspondence and reports?
Can I ask a quick
Go
question?
ahead, Commissioner Norris. Yeah.
Dorothy Norris, District 8. The Sierra Club has raised concern by a lack of transparency. How do you address that? How are you going to address that for the budget?
I think we could, I need to check though, but we could probably put it on our website because I know we're working on the outreach portion.
And that will be available to the public then?
Yeah, so it'll be on our county website page, DEM's page, yeah, website.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Atsuka.
Dale Atsuka, District 3. Hi, Craig. Thanks. You know, for the updates, I suppose just looking at it, it's just good to know what items are considered on this projects, at least have something listed so we know what we're looking at when you finally give us some information on the different projects. We can be looking into each one of them the way we would normally look into something.
So I would think it would be like the some AOC projects, wastewater projects, other wastewater projects,
We
other
could get a
solid
list.
waste projects. Yeah, we could get you the list. Yeah,
Okay, so we'll get a list.
I think we could.
We had a list?
I'm not sure how that works.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning. Are you saying for budget?
For the projects that is being considered for budget.
No, nothing has been provided
Oh,
to
yeah.
the commission, and we did request it last month. Hopefully to be able to review the projects that were being proposed to the council and requested from the DEM for budget.
Yeah, so I think once the budget is finalized, then we can share the projects.
You know, and I appreciate that,
Uh-huh.
you know, but for me, it's like, what are we considering in that? So to have a list of all the things that are being considered in the budget, you know, whether it's for personnel or anything like that, that we be given that at least to get an idea what we're looking at towards the budget or what items are going to be involved with this budget. Because I think sometimes, you know, regular line items, there might be something else that would be pertinent to consider within the normal list of projects. Does that make sense?
So that would be prior to the next meeting or?
It would be good to know so we
Okay.
can look it over for the next meeting. And so if there's any information that we have or questions that we have regarding what we
Uh-huh.
were
And then
provided,
you
we
could
can,
address it at the next
yeah.
meeting.
And then move on where we can at least at the end of when the budget is coming out, we can at least say something towards the budget, I think.
I would like to make a request if we could review what's been submitted to the county council in regards to DEM's budget. And if we could have that as soon as possible, then that would be fantastic. So we can either review and be prepared for our next meeting or potentially be able to tell our constituents what is happening in regards to wastewater within the county. Do you think that you could get that to us pretty quickly?
Yeah, I think so if it's. If we could.
The question is that I would like to review.
Yeah, so the question is if to review the budget prior to what we sent to council. If
We would like to review, yeah, if it's okay, if we as a commission can review the proposed budget that is being sent to our council from DEM.
And so are you asking if that's like a confidential document?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a,
Okay, okay.
but my assumption is that it would be squarely a public document.
Okay.
But double check with your attorney
Or
to make sure
counsel.
there's no like, provision that it's confidential, but I would assume it's public.
Excuse me. And sorry, Craig, the only reason I ask that is because so often, we're reminded that we're an advisory board, but it's hard to advise
Without
on
knowing.
anything if it's already being presented
Uh-huh.
at its final stages.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
See, do you know, because I could probably look it up online right now because all those communications and it's public, it's online. So it's online.
Okay. So we could.
It's already
Yeah, that-
online.
okay.
So the only way that we would be able to weigh in at this point would be to review that and ask our day for it.
Oh, yeah.
I had a quick question. Last month, there was a request from DEM to review to review. I'm going to hold my question for a second while I look for it. I apologize. Go ahead, Chrissy.
This ties to the request for projects. I'm Christy Swafford. I'm the Information and Education Specialist and the one running this meeting. So if you're on the chat right now, give me a minute. I just wanted to share, we are moving forward, just got approval to put on the DEM website projects. Right now, they are wastewater projects that lay out the timeline for when the project goes into planning phase all the way through construction. Right now, we're working through the AOC projects. So you'll be able to see the bid award, how much the bid award was. These are all public things, but we're going to bring them into one place on our projects tab on the webpage. Just give me a little bit to get it all worked out, approved, and move all the pieces. You'll see wastewater first with a focus on AOCs. From there, we'll build more project pages for larger solid waste projects. Hopefully that helps. And then I will bring that to you for your feedback when we release it, because that's not the end of that. I can update it, change it, and make it suit the public's needs through our EMC.
Thank you.
Could you provide an update on the O&M manuals that we've previously asked? Where are you with the development of O&M manuals?
So that's currently with the consultant. So they're creating the O&M. I think that's what's asked.
And do we have an estimated time as to when they will be completed? We've gotten several concerns from folks within operations of our county utilities concerned about their safety. And it is a concern to see a consistent O&M manuals brought up with kind of no update.
Oh, yeah, so that's a concern of ours too, because I think the last update was 15, maybe 20 years ago. So we're trying to move forward and update everything.
And when do you anticipate us hearing from the consultants?
So beginning of the new year. Yeah.
Okay, so we will not be receiving anything this summer. I believe on the website that it says that this summer we'll be receiving a draft, actually next month, July, and that we will be starting public input after receiving that July draft.
Hi, this is Kelly Hartman, the environmental planner. So the question was regarding the operation manuals. And so the draft, what you're talking about is the draft for the integrated wastewater management plan, which the O&M manuals are part of that contract. And so the draft integrated plan will see this fall, finalized beginning of next year, January timeframe. And then the operation manuals, that's not a public a public reviewed document. So that will be, we can anticipate that to be at the end of the contract, which is the beginning of the new year.
Great. So I was just clarifying that on the website with the integrated wastewater master plan, it says that, and it was my understanding from last month's meeting that the commission is going to receive a draft of that plan next month, July, from the contractor. And it's also on the website that we will then be offering public testimony and public going around to receive public comment regarding that draft. But now the draft is not going to be done until the coming year.
No. So the draft integrated plan will have a public review period. We're going to start with the EMC, go before the county committee meetings, do a presentation there, and then do a public meeting. We anticipate the draft integrated plan to be completed fall of 2025, and we anticipate the final draft to be available January 2026. So we're talking draft versus final.
One question. The fiscal years is July 1st?
Yes.
Okay, so when you mentioned that it'll be available next fiscal year?
Did I say fiscal?
Well, you didn't say fiscal, but next budget year, I think.
Yeah.
Would that be July 1st?
I'm sorry, the calendar year. So January 2026, we're anticipating a final draft on the integrated plan.
Thank you for that clarification.
And then
So we will be receiving nothing, no update regarding wastewater, the integrated wastewater master plan until January.
No, the draft plan will go for public review in the fall of 2025. And that will include presentation to EMC, council committee, and the public.
Sorry, apologies. Thank you for clarifying. I had a clarifying question from the audience. So what is the current manpower requirements for the O&M as of right now?
for like which plan, specific plan, or is it?
For the Hilo plant?
I think the last I checked was 11, I think needs to be there.
11?
Yeah, I think so.
How many do we currently have?
Working?
Mhm.
That part I would need to check, yeah. Because it depends if, yeah, I would need to check.
Okay.
Yeah.
go ahead. Yep.
So Jim Beats, District 1. Chris Barber gave us a really nice update. I was looking at the notes earlier, about a page and a half of information from the minutes on wastewater updates. One of the things that he did mention relative to the countywide AOC in what he was presenting in the update was that there would be several key deadlines approaching on July 1st. And it would be really nice to be hearing before that date on, what the status of those are. Are we going to meet the deadlines, et cetera? So when we get updates every month, it'd be nice to make
To add that.
to be hearing
Okay.
that. And thank you for the information on the integrated wastewater the wastewater management plan. And I suspect there's no additional information on other elements like the other AOC requirements.
Yeah, not offhand, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sparber's on vacation.
Oh, okay. That explains it. Thank you.
I do recall, because I think I'm going to touch a little bit on what Commissioner Beats was just speaking towards. I believe last month we discussed the NPDES permit for Hilo, and that there was a process within the AOC for the NPDES that focused on assuring that we had all of our FOG documents completed and updated. And during that meeting, we as a commission were asked to maybe review those documents and provide insight. And I was wondering if we could please receive those documents of which you want us to review so we can provide insight. And is that date being pushed back? Because I believe that was the July 1st date. I think we were trying to clarify what we were requesting. But I do think that it was regarding the FOG. So there's code changes and then regarding the FOG and the NPDES. But I can go back to the exact minutes. But if you would like help from the commission on input to those, we would like to help. And if you could just guide us to what you would like us to review regarding the FOG changes.
We'll let you know. So I think that's with the pre-treatment program.
The pre-treatment program, correct? Yes. Yeah, and we got there somehow.
Hi, Craig. Since we're doing updates, and I like to know what's updated with the staffing. How are we doing with the staffing? Or, if we did contact like Ultras or any of the staffing companies to help with the
I think they
hiring.
said with the Ultras. I'm not sure if that's allowed.
They used to have a contract with the county, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the only reason I brought it up a few months ago, because they used to have a contract and the county used to pay them a fee. But the only reason I say that too is because unless we're hiring at the rate that we should be in the different departments, it matters, but DEM matters more to me than the other departments. So, and talking to them, it's like they do all the work for the department in HR, and so I'm just saying,
Yeah,
if
so
contact with them.
okay.
Thanks.
So as far as the updates, I think we've hired 16 since January.
Of the 87 vacancies?
Yeah, and we have about, I think maybe close to 10 either waiting for the list from HR or we have interviews set up.
Okay, so I was just thinking too, it can expedite the whole, you know, application process, you know, and going through the different vetting. So I'm gonna ask, can we put this on as a monthly on the agenda? I thought we did, but I
Okay.
don't see it. So I would like to continue to have it on the agenda every month. Thank you.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Oh, so we, just one more, sorry. So we do have the wastewater chief and deputy chief, what do you call that? Out for recruitment. So if you know anyone, let them know. Let them know.
And I see Mike back there. Hi, Mike. I don't know, was it, did we make an announcement? Oh, we did? Oh, sorry.
Not yet. I was just, do we have any other comments or questions? As always, we look really forward to seeing something to review and something to be able to provide input on. If there's any update that could be offered, maybe by Kelly. I know that you are also on the legislative, or not the legislative, I apologize, the mayor's task force for the successful conversion. If you could please just provide a quick update, that would be great.
Commissioner Norris online has a question.
Oh, great. Thank you. Sorry, Commissioner Norris.
Thank you. Just to prioritize the safety environment of our facilities might be a real enhancement for getting people to actually sign on and become part of our personnel. Just a comment.
What was she? Sorry. What was she asking?
Would you like to repeat yourself? I'm sorry, Commissioner Norris.
I'm saying that we have had some feedback from operators that have said that their facility is not safe, and therefore, if we work on improvement of our facilities, it might lead towards a more healthy work environment, and we might get better recruitment.
Oh, yeah, so that's yeah, that's a priority of ours. So I've been going to the plant, Hilo plant, talking to staff about the I guess simple fixes that's has a big impact.
Absolutely. Is there a plan maybe within the integrated wastewater master plan or I know that there's so many components that you folks are working on. Is there an idea of inserting a very specific timeline to address safety concerns and staffing concerns? So by, year one, we want X percentage of staff filled by year. Just maybe a recommendation of putting some indicators and SMART goals together to address safety and employment concerns might showcase, that there is an idea out there to address them.
The integrated will include, an org chart, referenced operation manuals, but I think that's great feedback to provide some metrics in there. So if you don't see that in there, please make that comment with the draft.
Definitely. Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. Would you like to introduce the new director of solid waste?
Hello. Hold the green button. There.
My name's Mike Rivera, and I'm the new Solid Waste Division Chief for the County of Hawaii. I guess I'll give a little bit about my background. I got a degree in chemistry and biology from the University of Illinois in Chicago, a long time ago. So I've only done solid waste for my career, and that's been whether it's hazardous waste landfills, wastewater treatment, solid waste landfills, uh, working in a laboratory. I've just about done everything in the solid waste industry through so far. Now, hearing all the issues that I've heard so far, it sounds like we'll be working closely together here in the future to try to resolve some of the issues going forward and making the island a lot healthier and safer for our employees, our residents, and for those that come and visit the island. So with that, if you have any questions.
Good to see you again.
Oh, thanks. Many of the items that were raised here were, I was here a couple years ago, are recognized as major issues, whether it's safety, employee engagement with the staff, and updating some of our infrastructure. I know it's a big priority for Wes and Craig, and it's always been on my list previously to try to get those improved. Those are foundational bases to improve. Once you start improving those, you'll start seeing a healthier environment in the work culture. And it starts from there if we want to build other programs and do the things that we need to do to be successful in the future.
Thank you.
It's very nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to us. Also, good job.
Thanks. It takes a whole load off of my back now.
No more 3 jobs. Is I'm so sorry, Christy. Do you have testimony for VC? Oh, I'm so sorry. We are we are past that agenda item. Anything? Yeah, are there any other questions? No? Okay, so we can go ahead and move to the next agenda item, which is actually just future agenda items, right? Because that's you're complete with your correspondence report. Um, I um I Can you give us one moment, please? Thank you.
@gmail.com. It was sent to COHDEM@hawaiicounty.gov. 2:59. Yeah, Chuck also provided oral testimony at the beginning. I can read off the item. I can show it. You want me to Chair, do you want to start with Al?
Thank you so much. I apologize for that a little out of order discussion, but we are trying to manage online and in the room and these hybrid meetings. So I appreciate your time. We will go ahead and accept testimony. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
If you could just please test your, if you can state your name and the agenda item that you're providing testimony for.
My name is Alan Fukamizu, giving a little bit of testimony on item 4C. Or is that 4 or 5? 4. 5, sorry. I'm a wastewater operator with the county, also a chief steward. I gave written testimony earlier. I just wanted to bring some things up. It's getting frustrating that operations and maintenance manuals were removed from all the facilities and then put back after I made complaints. I've asked this division, actually the previous, administration, to provide copies, at least to the board, so we can see how short of manpower we are. As Craig stated, the Hilo treatment plant requires 11 operators. And we have a total of 8 operators right now to operate 8 pump stations and 4 wastewater treatment plants. 3 of those wastewater treatment plants are under NPDES permit, where it's a direct discharge into the ocean. So with the lack of manpower, it becomes a safety issue. A lot of the times, we have one operator working by themselves, at several different treatment plants. With recruitment, the last administration said they were recruiting, but they weren't. And this administration is trying. But, they need to realize they're not going to find licensed operators. They need to start out by hiring opening positions for assistant operators, which I've discussed with them. At least get people in that you can train. A lot of people know the county wastewater, environmental management in general is just not run correctly. I'm not saying this administration, but as far as working there, the safety and everything else. So a lot of guys will stay on the private side. But I think there needs to be just, more open communication and transparency from this department to its operators. We have yet to see the director come down and speak with anybody, address their concerns. I've tried to and just been blocked. And, as a representative for the guys, as a union from the union, I think, we should have more open communication. If not, we have to address it to the media, and it's not something we want to do. It should be handled in-house. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. Is that it, Christy? Okay, we are at the next agenda item, which is future agenda items. We are going to hold some testimony that was provided by the Sierra Club, and we will make sure to have it on our next month agenda. It was, I don't believe it was, I don't believe it. Okay, and if there's any other future agenda items that would like to be mentioned now, I can go ahead and take note. If not, folks are welcome to email me and, oh, go ahead.
I think maybe this is a part where I say I would like to have HR updates on the agenda monthly.
We can add that to the report monthly.
Thank you.
I'll get that added. I don't. No. I think they can email me. It's easier for me.
Sure.
Yeah. If folks in the public can email me future agenda items, that would be great. It will serve as a record for myself, and it helps to keep me organized and honest. Okay, it looks like we have completed the future agenda item. So if there, the next announcement is our next EMC meeting will be in Kona on Wednesday, July 30th, and we look forward to seeing folks. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Thank you so much. We will adjourn.